Welcome to episode number 10. Last week was 9. Episode 10 of the Dickie and Donny Show, presented by Business on Purpose. My name is Dickie, here with my co-host Donny, and we are here to liberate business owners from chaos so they can make time for what matters most. Everything we do in our business is at that goal, at that trajectory, that aim. If we are not giving business owners clarity, direction, money, joy, we are their savior. No, we're not.
We don't do that.
We do, sure,
but we do.
Sound like...
Dickie, we fight for three things. You know what we fight for? We fight for you to have more time into your schedule to do what matters most. Let's go to that baseball game this time because we want you to have your system wrapped up. We want you to have more time for what matters most. Let's go fishing with a slapper bait, whatever you called it yesterday. What was it?
Wacky rig.
Wacky rig. It's my nickname in high school. Funny enough.
I'm getting a new rig today. I'm going to Walmart. We're going to the beach.
Oh, that's probably where people get rigs, isn't it?
Yeah. And so my buddy is a big trout red kind of fisherman. We're going to this cool island and I'm going to get this cool rig. It's like a Z-Man.
Okay.
Sponsored by Z-Man.
Here's a little challenge for all of our listeners. If you go to Walmart and you buy a Z-Man rig, you buy a 12-pack of Hawaiian rolls, and you also get a pool noodle, and you take a selfie with you purchasing those 3 items, you get 1 free month of coaching for both Dickie and Donny. Totally free. You get our whole system for 1 month. That is a selfie
really
with
valuable offer, dude.
A Z. What was it? A Z-pack?
Z-Man does
Z-pack. That's from when I went to the Dominican.
Z-Man DZL Minnow Z 5-inch paddle tail swim bait. That's what my friends.
You get that, a 12-pack of Hawaiian rolls, and a pool noodle. I need a selfie of you at the checkout counter with those 3 items. You get a free month of coaching from Dickie and I. I digress because you are really good at getting me off track.
If we tag team coaching, that's some serious benefit. I mean, people
we do more than what David did. The guy we interviewed, he went from 5 to 125 million. That'd be 1 month if we coached together. I mean, dude, ridiculous.
Yeah.
Which reminds me back on the 3 things we want to provide. Time for what matters most. Number 2, a chaos-free business system, which you've heard us talk about some tools, and we do want it to be a chaos-free business system. We also would love for you to have a little bit of money. I have a buddy that says money doesn't bring happiness, but it'll sure put a smile on your face. So we want you to have some more money for what matters most. Go get the boat so you can use your Z-rig, flapper trail, Z-Man.
Minnow rig. Yeah, Minnow rig. Money is, we run for-profit businesses. If you run a nonprofit, great, but you still need cash to run your business. Right. So we want you to have time, money, and clarity. Was that what you said? Did I hear time, money, clarity?
Time, money, and I said a business or a chaos-free business system, which you could argue comes only through that of clarity. So yes, so nailed it.
I'm pulling an audible this morning or this afternoon, depending on when you're listening to us, and Donny doesn't know what we're talking about today, and so I like to, I played trumpet. I don't know if you knew that. You could tell by these lips if you're on YouTube. I was a great trumpet player. You never know what's going to come out of my mouth. That's why you love me.
Yeah, and not trumpet sounds. I didn't think would come out of your mouth. But also, I've never looked at your lips, I don't think.
I like to toot my own horn. So I played trumpet, and you would have to practice what's called sight reading. And in sight reading, they give you a piece of music. And from you've never seen it before, you have to kind of briefly read through it and play it. So we're doing sight reading for coaching this morning, and I'm going to talk to you, Brandon, about some of my issues in my business, and I want you to get me to the right tool in my mind that I want to get to, and I'm not going to tell you what tool that is.
Okay, I'm pulling it up. For those of you listening, I'll do my best to walk you through it, but I'm going to have my browser up so I can pull up the tool I would be walking you through, and we'll see if it's the same that Dickie has you through. I will say, before we start this experience, I did play the saxophone until I got kicked out of band in 8th grade. So I was first chair until I got kicked out, and I remember the can, I remember the Pink Panther, and I remember what was called the Crater Lake Overture, which I learned in 6th grade, and I still remember.
Like 4 years ago you were doing that?
Yeah. Actually, my mom, shout out to Donnie's mom, bought me a saxophone about 5 years. No, Damie.
Damien.
Davey, Davey, and she bought me a saxophone 6, 7 years ago for Christmas because she knew I loved playing it. And when I got kicked out, I get rid of mine. And I have been known on nights when the electricity goes out to play the saxophone in my household. So, all right, let's sight read.
So have you seen that guy on TikTok that does adds in sax solos where they should have been, and he takes like popular songs and then adds in saxophone
No.
solos?
All right, and we're back. So perfect.
Yeah, I love it. That was a great one. It was solid. All right, so I'm going to run my business, and I'm actually going to use one of my clients and use one of their examples and talk about their business and some of their challenges. And I want you to sight read and get me through to a place of clarity, right? I said money, time, clarity, and a business operating system that my business can grow with or without me. All right. So I'm a residential roofer. I've been in business for 24 years, and some years are great, some years are challenging. We have a high touch, white glove service experience that we're a general contractor. We do roofing, siding, windows, and doors. We also do solar. We've got that as a little thing in our pocket. I've done some painting. I've got a partner I paint with, but got a team of 5, project manager, a couple of sales crew, an admin, bookkeeper, and the business is going well. Like we're doing great, but there's just not, we're good at what we do. People love us. They do great work. It just feels like there's a lot of things out there hanging, and we sometimes we get in good rhythms of doing things. Sometimes we're doing meetings, sometimes we're not. We do a team meeting every week. So every week we do a team meeting. We run through our current jobs and the things that are coming up. And so we're pretty religious about that meeting. It's about an hour, hour and a half on a Thursday. But it just feels like there's not a glue bringing us together. Like I did some initial work in marketing. I did some initial work in like values and marketing. And my coach, Shawn, actually redid those. We built some killer values, and he's helping me with building purpose into my business. But it just feels like the team isn't glued. We're really relationally connected, but there's just a lot of things that either get slipped through the cracks or are inconsistent. So what can you do to help me? Like, you're a business coach. I heard you're like a baller business coach. You've got like a gold Rolex. You play the saxophone. Like, what can you do to help me run a business with clarity?
So you said I'm a baller business coach. I am a baller and I am a business coach. So if that makes me a baller business coach, then so be it. I don't look like a baller. I get it. I used to look different.
Dude, you're like that S10 pickup that's got like that
is
2-liter like nasty engine in it, where you're a sleeper build. But when people meet you, they're like, this guy's so nice, I love him. But then you put the horsepower down and like, oh, this guy's got juice.
If you're not interested in what I'm about to say, fast forward for 90 seconds. But I'm going to take 90 seconds to talk about what you just referred to me as an S10, which is a less than vehicle. I know that because I drove a Sonoma.
All people. Okay.
I drove a Sonoma. You're right. But we called it the Cruck. It was the car truck. It had the little half seat in the back. I got pulled over once. My buddy Nolan was in the back. He got a ticket on his birthday. Even though it was a seat, they said it wasn't a seat. I was ticked because he was wearing a seatbelt too.
It's got a seatbelt.
You called me a small truck with a huge motor and a good heart. I am a giant person, but motor's not what it used to be.
I called you a sleeper. You look at it and you think that's not that fast.
But you said like an S10. So
like an S10.
I also don't sleep well. I have my sleep study follow up on Monday. It's probably HIPAA, but I'll let you know if I get a CPAP this time. Failed the last one.
Nice.
90 seconds over.
Okay.
So great. Y'all are relational, but things are falling through the cracks, and there's just not a glue within the company. Now, can I ask you this? Who am I referring to you as?
Actually, my name is Shawn.
Okay, Shawn.
Dickie the coach, Shawn the business owner.
Okay, Shawn. You have a PM, a couple salespeople, admin, and bookkeeper. What is your main role at the business as the owner? Where do you fit in? What's your main role?
I've just done this for so long that I'll do some sales appointments. I'll make sure that people have what they need. If the huge critical problems come up, I'll jump in and, figure out a Frankenstein solution sometimes. But I'm just kind of a problem solver, and I kind of run the business and try to get.
Are you in sales at all? Or you trust your salespeople? Sometimes
no, my sales guys are incredible. They're great You do great work.
Okay. Is the business reliant on you to bring in money?
Not per se, but
Okay.
I'll do 10% of the sales calls and I'll go out
This is
and try
fun
to.
because the site read is complete. I know where I'm going, but I am going to ask some more clarifying questions because I think the content of this podcast would probably be better if I do so. Are when you say things are falling through the cracks, give me a few examples of recent things that you're like, it hasn't killed us. We're still around. We still do solar and windows and doors and all this, but what are some things that have fallen through the cracks?
It feels like we're kind of reactionary in our marketing and sales. So if I get my sales numbers from our advertising group that does our SEO and does our website, generally we get pretty good stuff. But if the sales kind of dried up recently and it just feels like frustrating. So we'll react and I'll send some flyers out. We'll do some things to try to build some business channels, but that's not consistent. Money's up and down. I feel we're pretty stable, but I'm looking for clarity in money. What other things could I say? It's like nothing's really wrong per se, but nothing's like feels like we're running all 8 cylinders at full capacity.
Have you identified in your business those 8 cylinders? Like where there's
Yeah,
issues, but
it's a good
man, if we
question.
could do this, and have it all wrapped up.
Yeah, Coach Shawn Dickie had us build a master process roadmap, and we
Okay.
identified all of our systems and built some
Yep.
of our silos and processes. So we've got our sales system and marketing system, and
Okay.
we've got the framework of that. We haven't built all the processes out and written them, but we've at least started the framework.
Okay, great. I am making a copy of a tool and I'm going to white label it real quick. I'm just going to make a copy and take off everything that's specific to that business just to protect them and show it. But okay, so from what I'm hearing you say is that you have fluctuation in sales and marketing, which is not abnormal to your business, Shawn. You have a team that is hyper relational, so your culture is not lacking, but there still seems to be things that are falling through the cracks. Their culture is not good enough to catch all the little things, is what I'm hearing from you. So it's not a
Yeah.
person issue. It's not
No.
necessarily a hiring issue. It's not necessarily a system or process as a whole issue. It's just we don't have the glue to catch it all for us.
Hmm.
Am I hearing that
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
pretty much right. You know, like our people know our core values and what we stand for, but it just
Yeah.
doesn't get really infused into our life in a daily way.
I love it. So, what if I could offer you, Shawn, a tool in which you could identify everything that needs to be done and it holds you accountable to completing said tasks?
I mean, I don't want a boss. I don't want somebody to be my boss, but I do want the accountability to do the right things.
So what if instead of a boss, I take one of your employees and I have that employee quarterback per se, a certain tool that will require no more than 5 minutes a week. And what it does is it holds everybody in the business accountable to completing the 8 cylinders at their appropriate time, at their appropriate repetition, with the appropriate amount of communication so stuff doesn't just get made up. How would that sound?
So you're saying I only need 5 minutes a week to fix my business?
I'm saying 5 minutes a week will allow your business to stop dropping balls. And I don't know if it'll fix everything, but I'll tell you what, when I look at business on purpose, if you take this, and I think all of us coaches might disagree and might have a different thought. If you were to take one tool away from us that would hurt us the most, it's this tool. And it
Yeah.
doesn't take more than 3 to 5 minutes a week for us
Three to
to go
five
over.
minutes a week. I can fit that into my time schedule, time blocking. Yeah.
Okay. So the tool, Dickie, do you want to tell them the tool that I'm referring to, and then I'll show it and walk through how I would
I'm
coach
I'm
Shawn through it?
I'm the business owner. You tell me.
All
I
right,
I,
Shawn.
I
So
think you're
that
going to
that
show
tool
me
that
the
we
anchor team calendar.
that is what I'm going to show you. The anchor is
Boom!
what we call it. So
Dickie
you nailed it.
crushing.
Dickie crushing. That's
Right. There
I
it
just
is.
there we go. Okay, for those of you that are
Laser.
listening, he had lasers go on in the background. So let me explain what the anchor is before I pull it up because I want to make sure those listening know what it is. The anchor is a team calendar, and what it does is if you think of a spreadsheet on the left side column, you're identifying what are all the ingredients for Shawn, client Shawn. What is your name? Shawn Roofing LLC.
Yeah, exactly. Just
Okay, nailed it. So
Mhm.
we need to identify what are all the things that need to happen for Shawn Roofing LLC to be who Shawn Roofing LLC needs to be. There are cultural pieces within this. We need to celebrate birthdays. Man, my team is of 5 is really tight. And we actually do stuff because we're all in a tight community. We do stuff with our family. So I want to know when it's your spouse and your kid's birthday is great. For us to be who we need to be internally, I need those ingredients in there. We need to track that. I also need to track how often am I doing production meetings? How often am I doing these team meetings? I need to track how often are we reaching out to clients? Every time we finish a job, do we put a big bow on their roof to say, look, we finished it. You got to find a way to get up here and take it down. Like, what are the different things we need to do within sales? What do we need to do within the sales team to be who we need to be? What are the things we need to do within admin, operations, marketing? Again, to be who we need to be, what do we need to track? Those are the balls that keep getting dropped, all the little balls. And that's like, man, I need to check my financial dashboards because, and I need to check my sales, my goals versus my actuals. And we're not transforming the world with this, but it helps us see in real time, are we meeting sales goals, or do I need to tell my sales team, hey, we got to get out there right now? Like, what do I need to do? We take all those ingredients on the left side, all of them. It can get long, but that's okay. It still takes 5 minutes. And then across the top, and I'll show an example for those on YouTube. On the top, you simply put every week, right? You do 1/6, January 6th, 1/13, 1/20, 1/27. And you just do every week. And then when those meet, if you have to do something about that week, you put a little marker there, whatever it is. So if your meeting is every week, just put a little X every week, or put Tuesday and every single mark, so that every week you can look and say, well, on January 6th, this week, we have a meeting on Tuesday. And then on the next week, hey, this time the meeting's on Wednesday, whatever it would be. If you want to check your financial dashboards once a month, then just put a trigger in there once every month. And that way on that week, it catches it. So that is where this holds you accountable. The data entry is the most time consuming piece. But again, Shawn, I think once you set the ingredients, you can have your team, your bookkeeper, or your admin, have somebody spend an hour, buy them a cup of coffee, tell them to get off site, go an hour, and just
I've got an
bake this
office
thing
manager that is
Perfect.
like crosses T's, dots I's. She's incredible. So
Well, here's the T's and the
she's
I's, and she'll cross them. So, yeah, and it's like you're like, Brandon, am I just, or sorry, Don, whatever my name is. You're like, am I really
Donnie.
like Danny? Am I really going in to this and simply putting in all the stuff we have to do? Kind of. Yeah, that's basically what it is. It's not your job roles. You're not taking everybody's job roles and throwing them on here. But the trigger for what goes on here is, have we dropped that ball before? Or do I need to ensure we're doing this to be who we need to be? Here's an example for a lot of our construction companies, a lot of our home builders. They will have these subcontractors, and they used 50 different ones. Well, once a quarter, they want a subcontractor appreciation day, for instance. Now, everyone's like, oh, that's a great idea. Yeah, we just meet at one job site, or we meet at the office. I buy pizza for everybody, and we just tell them we're thankful for them. Once a year, we get them all a hat, whatever it is. And everybody's like, oh, that's a great idea. Well, we get 7 months down the road and we're like, we haven't planned one of those, but we wanted to do it every quarter. But the fact that nothing caught it, it didn't come up in anybody's mind because we're all busy. There's the B word. We're all busy. And this just holds us accountable to being who we need to be, being who we're committing to being, with culture, with actions, with operations, and all that stuff. So, Donnie or Dickie, I don't know if you were planning on that being the tool, but the second you
nailed
say
it.
we keep
That's
dropping
exactly what I
the
was.
second you say we keep dropping
Dropping balls.
balls, immediately we have to have something to catch our roles and our
Yeah.
tasks, not our balls, our roles and our tasks. We have to have something to catch those to hold us accountable. So here's an example, and this is actually internally Business on Purposes anchor, and then I'll
Yeah,
show
and
you one
and
way to
I'll
leverage it.
and I'll just speak to this anchor. I see that so many clients struggle to get this written and done, and they build it. And so either they struggle to get it written because they don't understand it, and they're like, well, what, we have job roles, we have schedules, why can't we just do it? And I'm like, well,
Yep.
yeah, but these things are multi-job role. No one really has these all on their job role. They might have some. The second people write it, they build a killer plan, and then they forget to review it. And they look
That's
back
right.
in a month. I just had a client this week, and we looked back at their anchor, and they were like, oh, this is good. I was like, I know, we built this last month.
Yeah,
It was
it
really
is
good.
good.
And I'm
Yeah.
just going to hold you accountable to doing it because the
Yep.
right ingredients are in the soup. So you're going to make a delicious soup. So that's
Yes.
where I see people struggle, is either not understanding it or not executing after building
I
it.
love it. I love it. So, and I'll do it for those watching on YouTube. I'm going to show this is 2021, 2022's. Like, it's great. It did a whole lot of
We've
things.
been
This is
doing this for 4
2025's.
years. That is incredible.
5 years, 4 or 5 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, I don't know, Dickie, when you came into BOP, like I had never seen a place that knew the expectations so well and held them. And I think this is a huge reason, is because we have something to catch it all. We call it the
Mhm.
anchor, and I want you to hear anchor. I'm actually going to stop sharing because this used to be called the culture calendar, because what we saw is like no one's holding culture well. So let's identify the ingredients within our culture we want to meet and go chase after them. This would be vision days. This would be, team retreats, stuff like that. And in BOP fashion, it worked. But in BOP fashion, it wasn't good enough. So we just kept adding, and we realized that it holds more than your culture. It holds your whole team. So we don't use an anchor like a boat. We actually do an anchor. A lot of our references in our business, if you've been around, is hiking. We have base camp, first mountain, second mountain. Well, when you free climb a rock wall, there's a tool called an anchor that you clip into the wall, and it can hold something like 377 times its own weight. So climbers will have a multi-day climb. They'll have their entire existence on their person in one little 15-pound anchor clips into the wall, and it literally supports the entirety of their climb. It supports
Guess
all
where
their
you're not going to
equipment,
find
all their
me?
climb, all
On
their
El
food.
Capitan Wall.
You're not going to
Hell
find me
no.
there.
Uh-uh.
But as a business, how many times do people literally wake up and feel like they're on El Capitan's wall? Like that's the reality, and they don't have anything holding them. So they're holding on with their fingers for dear life. If you haven't watched Free Solo, I think it's crazy.
Yep.
But we call it the anchor because this literally holds the entirety of your business, so that things don't drop off the mountain for you to say goodbye to forever. You don't forget these things. They just the ball
Beautiful.
just stops getting dropped. So that's why we call it the anchor. Now I'll run through this briefly for those watching. Again, if you're on Spotify, I'll do my best, but I'm forgetting about you for now. So, and there's other ways to watch podcasts. I think anywhere you listen to I don't know if we're on other places. I know we're on Spotify. We might be on Apple Podcasts. We might be on SoundCloud. I don't.
We're
Do
on
people do
Mars, dude.
SoundCloud?
Have you heard the Mars podcast? We're Occupy Mars podcast. That's where we're starting there next week, which is pretty cool.
Oh, cool. Yeah, we'll be on
Kevin
Mars
is
next
getting
week.
us on Mars. I mean, we're
Who?
actually
Who is?
Yep, Devin. Devin's getting us on
Devin.
Mars.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. So here it is. You can see these are the ingredients. We have them baked weekly. We have training. I'll come back to the training because I think that's one of the most underutilized pieces of this. BOP, birthdays and anniversaries, our quarterback roles, things we need to do monthly, quarterly, semi-annually, annually. These are all of our ingredients. And then we track our time off so that we know when people are and aren't here. I'll go back to that. But here is, and then at the top, you can see it's just a week, right? These are the Mondays of every week for the whole year. If I scroll over, it's the whole year. You'll see this blue here is the week of July 4th this year. We have a reduced work week. We don't have our team meeting. We do 50 team meetings a year. There are 2 weeks we don't. We call those reduced work weeks. So that's why you see that RWW. But this is how we run through it. This is an example of how our business literally uses this tool for the amount of time I'm going to use it. And it still holds us accountable. 3 to 5 minutes, if that. Let's pick the first week of the year. We all come back from Christmas. Hey, Dickie got new Jordans.
What are we doing?
What's going on? And we highlight, you can see up here, we highlight that week. If you're listening, I've highlighted everything that falls under the week of January 6th. And we scroll down. Hey, we have a team meeting this week. Good. Coaches meeting was yesterday. Check-ins. Looks like we're doing check-ins this week. So if you have check-ins to schedule, go ahead and schedule them. And coaches scorecard is due this week. It's due every week, but it's due again this week. Training, admin and HR, payroll. Ashley, we talk about payroll for a little bit. Tell us about payroll. Oh, that's great. Yep, we get paid on the 15th of every month. Awesome. Any questions? Anybody need anything? No? Great. Marketing training. Review the 2025 marketing plan. We do that in our coaches meeting. So we don't actually talk through it in the anchor. All we'd say is, hey, we trained on this in yesterday's meeting. Every training has a home. 10 minutes worth. We trained on that. Sales training. What do I get with BOP? That's how we sell our product. We trained on it yesterday, coaches meeting on a Monday. And then streak training. What is streak? Jesse, will you briefly update? That's our CRM. She updates us on that for 1 minute. Okay. We go on birthdays.
I don't want to move past this. In 1 minute, we have made sure that we have trained our sales guys or our sales ladies on how to offer our product and how to connect people that need help. And 2, we've trained them on, made sure they have watched the training on a CRM training on how to use the CRM, how to add people, how to add notes. Like, that's such a cool process that happens every month in our business. So I've reviewed that slide
every
deck.
week.
Yeah, but like the sales training, for example, happens every month. And so we're getting sales updates and sales numbers. And so we are always aware, if you're not measuring something, you can't grow it. You can't change it. And so for us, it's such a cool rhythm. Yeah.
Yep. And those trainings for a coach, we are coaches. We have a coaches meeting on Mondays from 4 to 5 Eastern. That's where we talk about all our clients behind their back. It's great. But there is a 10-minute section of that meeting for Coaching training. Hey, are we all coaching this the same way? Hey, I have a client that's struggling to implement their anchor. We have it built out, but no one's doing it. What do y'all do when someone's struggling to whatever, right? We talk about it, but we train in that. And then in our team meeting, this is where the accountability comes in. We go in front of the whole business. Hey, did we do sales training yesterday? Oh, we did? Great. Did we do CRM training? We did? Awesome. And we press on. Like, that's what it is. Then we go down. Okay, this week, it looks like Sam Barber's birthday is on January 10th. Hey, real quick, someone pull out their phone. Let's do a quick video telling Sam happy birthday. It's Jesse's husband. Awesome. It's a little thing. And then whose birthday is next week? Oh, Brent's birthday is on the 16th. I think he turns 58 this year. So great.
Daryl.
It's
He's
awesome.
like in the
cousin
AARP
Daryl.
now.
Uh, he looks better than both of us, but is older than both of us as well.
Definitely looks better than both of us. That's true.
But okay, great birthdays. We don't miss them, right? We know them, and everybody like respect that next week's Brent's birthday. Like, buy him a bottle of tequila or something because he loves it. Come down. We got no quarterback roles this week. Next week we will, but this week we don't. We go down monthly. 12-week plan review and team meeting. Hey, after this, Dickie, I told you you're going to pull up your 12-week plan. We're going to run through it. Anchor focus moment. We went ahead. We're on the anchor right now. Prep for speaking. It looks like we have we just want everybody's more training. We want everybody to go through our process of when we go speak, what we need. We have a lot of speaking coming up this year, so we got to go check on that. And then swag and inventory. Okay, this is the week. We do this every month. We need to put in more swag. We need more notebooks. We need more pens. We need stuff like that. And then nobody has shirts. That's right. Nobody has time off this week, but great. Let's move on. And that is now, I know Dickie not interrupted. Dickie added in like the value. All of that still probably took less than 5 minutes. If we're not having our little ad libs, it takes 3. But you do that week after week after week after week.
And it changes. There's sometimes sales, sometimes marketing, sometimes
like next week's training is wildly different. But that's where, and I will hit on this a little bit, and I'll throw up an example. When we talk about like, man, just balls are getting dropped. There's 2 things that could be happening, and we need to know this as coaches, and we need to know this as business owners. When balls are getting dropped or things are not meeting expectation, we want to look in 2 areas. One, are we just not having systems to hold us accountable to do those things so they're slipping through the cracks? Or B, is our team not trained on the process well enough to execute it to the level we need to execute it? And the anchor solves both of those, but the fact of having it tracked solves the accountability piece. But we still need to be training on our processes. I have a construction company, and they're pretty big. I think about 35 to 40 employees, probably do 25 to 30 million a year. And this is an example of their anchor. Now, you'll see it on here. They didn't start it till April. So some of this stuff up here, like they don't have anything filled out, but this whole section right here is on training. And I asked him the simple question, what are the different 3, and when we say training, I'm not talking about bringing in a ladder expert to talk about the rungs of the ladders. I've used that example before. I'm talking about a 3 to 5 minute conversation about a process or topic at your business. That is training. You have to see it that way. So I said, what are the 3 to 5 minute conversations you want to have with your team? And they acknowledged we need some sort of safety training, builder training, design training, new construction training. Our renovation process needs training, new products. And then we talked about how often they need to happen. And all these little marks are the duration. And then what I did with that team is I made a master training list. And we literally just said, what are all the different safety trainings you want to acknowledge throughout the year? 12? Great. If we want to do it twice a month, then we'll do them twice a year. Just 1 through 12, then 1 through 12. And this is a live document, but you go in and what is this week? May 30th. So it's the week of the 26th. You highlight it, you go down, and safety training, they talked about dangerous area protection. That's a 3 to 5 minute conversation. Everybody should know it, but just in case they don't, someone doesn't get hit by a flying nail. They talked about design software ideas within new products. Like, do we want to design software? They build huge custom homes. So they talked about it for 3 to 5 minutes. And then they talked about time clock procedures. Everybody should know it, but you have the couple people that forget to clock out when they don't meet at the office first thing in the morning and they go straight. So that's there. But all it took is measuring it. And what they're finding is not only are balls getting dropped less because they're tracking it, but we're actually improving our process more and more and more. And
that's beautiful. I mean, that is really well executed. I mean, that's a great.
The owner didn't even know it was happening. Like I had asked him to do this for a year.
Oh my gosh.
And he said no.
He was
like, I don't have time for it.
Yeah.
So I finally asked, I talked to some of his key leaders, but I finally asked, like, hey, do you have someone in your business that just loves making things look good? Oh my gosh, her name's Sierra. She is huge on that. Great. Can I have her email? Why? Don't worry about it. And then I asked his key leaders via email, send me all the different types of training you wanted. And then they built it out, and I literally presented this to him in coaching. Hey, here's a new tool you're going to start using this week. And he was like, what is that? So this is what I've been trying to get you to do for a
I'm
year.
telling you, you're an S10, dude. You are a sleeper. That you like weasel your way behind the business owner's
calling
back,
me an S10.
and you freaking crush
I
it,
have
dude.
PTSD.
You build this system. Okay, so here's what I see with owners. Owners all the time are too much executors and not enough architects. They need an architect and an executor. They try to be the person that's, okay, I need to figure out all the safety training. I need to write all the builder trend training. I need to write all the admin training, instead of thinking in systems and saying, I need to build a place or a system that allows my people to put their processes in. So to me, that if you're going to be a business owner, you've got to think in architect, designer, planner, systems, and allow your people to fill in those spaces. So you're managing a bigger thing than just you being a single point of failure. And for me, I love this process is because it's a trigger. So if I go to a marketing, say we've got a 12-week live event coming up. So we do quarterly events.
Yep.
You have a process for running our 12-week live event. When that trigger hits, 8 weeks to deadline, you start your process. And we've built this process, it's an 8-step process to make sure, is the event space secured? Is the catering done? Or is the invites going out? If we built the logos, all the stuff. So it just starts that process, but we wouldn't be triggered to start that process unless we had the anchor telling us.
Correct. And a lot of business owners have the process. They have it. They just don't have anything holding them accountable to actually initiating the said process. We call that you called it a trigger. Every process I ask my business owners to create has to start with a trigger. Every one of them. Like, hey, what triggers trash being taken out? Let's say we have a trash process, right? We do at BOP. We think it's funny, all that. But there's a trigger when the trash can gets full. That's the trigger. And now we need the process.
Everybody's triggered lately. Everybody's triggered about something. So I'll tell you what I love about the anchor is, and I've pitched this to clients to say, when we build master process, I tell them I need 8 to 12 steps of how you build new construction, for example. I need to see that you've got an 8-step, 10-step process to go from site prep all the way to closeout, right? So we build that. And then I say, what if, go with me, you reviewed one of those steps every week at a team meeting? And they're like, well, that's too much work. I'd have to train on the whole thing. I said, no. You outline it, you review it, you have them read it ahead of time. Oh, they won't read it ahead of time. Well, then why are you expecting your company to grow if you're not demanding or expecting your employees to grow in this? So I said, go with me. They read it for 5 minutes ahead of time. You touch on it for 3 minutes in a meeting. Every quarter, you have done a full analysis of your build process. So 4 times a year, you have trained your people on how to build a new construction house. They're like, well, I think that sounds good. I'm like, of course it sounds good. You bring in a new employee, a superintendent, and you think, oh, I've got to do this full training. If you're in a culture and a system that's growing like that and thinking, they're going to catch up to that speed pretty quickly. And by the end of that first, 6 months, they've gone through the process twice. It takes 12 months to build a house, but they've already gone through it twice in a team meeting and with other people.
And it's and both of us, and I mean, this is like, we drink our own Kool-Aid here. Both of us were walked into a BOP team where when we walked in, we got a thorough 4-week training on becoming who we need to be for BOP. But we're also in all these meetings with all this training. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Cause I think we would both acknowledge if BOP wasn't so intentional about having training and getting us trained, I'm a few years in now. Where I was at 1 month, I may have been at a year, just because of I happened to be in that conversation where I heard that phrase mentioned to this issue, and now I have it. No, that was day 2, because they were like, hey, you're going to hear it. You need to know this, right? This training is vital. And the anchor, to go all back to this, I loved this little site read. This was great. I'm throwing the next one at you. I'm going to make it hard. This one I feel like was a layup.
Do your worst. Well, I was excited about the anchor, and I have so many clients that I'm like, man, if they could just architect and implement this, architect and execute. If you could do this, I mean, it's not that your problems go away. We learn to deal with problems as business owners. We learn to deal with our emotions and our struggles. But if you could implement this, you'd see a radical amount of less problems that would come up. And you can still deal with the ones that are challenges, but they're not these business challenges that can't be solved.
I'll tell you, it is understated the amount of value when you show, like what I did is that her name was Sierra. I pulled Sierra. I had a little 10-minute Zoom meeting with her, right? It's not hard for us to do. And she loves it. She thinks she's like on the inside and there's a lot of value there. When I showed her the example of what ours looks like, and I said, what if you guys had this? Key leaders, they are like, could we do it yesterday? Like, I'll work extra. I'll even quit so the rest of the team can have this. Like, that's how important it is. Like, leverage the excitement. They smell chaos. Our employees smell chaos. Our new hires smell chaos. Your applicants, your clients, they all smell the chaos. And when you show them, hey, there's an alleviation to this, they want it. So leverage their excitement for a tool like this, because Sierra built this thing out. And now the owner is like, oh, we're using it. That thing's great. And so cool. Yeah, we need to use it and leverage
this is so cool. And if you're a business owner and you're not willing to do this, let me just say, your valuation.
Be kind. Be kind.
No, I don't need to be kind. It's okay. Friday.
You're not an S10. S10s are kind.
S10s are kind.
They're
I'm more cute. Of what kind of truck am I?
You're not a truck, dude. Sorry to all those out there. You're a Dodge Charger where it's like, man, he looks cool, but they're not nice people. I've never met one that's been nice.
I have a
they're
really
always
soft heart
rude.
in person, but maybe in business, I'm a little too hard. If you're a business owner and you're not willing to do this, your business valuation is going to suffer. If you don't have your processes written and you don't have repeatable rhythms of business, and someone wants to come buy your business, they can't buy it because there's nothing you offer. It's you running a job. And so they're thinking, if I buy this business, I'm just buying his job. I'm not buying his business. If you build an operating system, you build a master process, and you build an anchor that ties all of it together, your business multiple, you go to a private equity group, you go to somebody to sell buy your business, it's going to radically change. We've literally done business valuations for people. So I just think it's such low-hanging fruit that I think it makes your team run better. It makes everybody happy. There's no more chaos. There's clarity. There's more time. There's more money. And at the end of the day, people are happy. It just seems like, why wouldn't you execute this? And you don't even need us to do this. But if you want our help, go to businessonpurpose.com/healthy, take a healthy 100%. Business owner assessment. And if you send us a picture of the noodle and the Hawaiian rolls and the Z-Man minnows, Brandon and I will coach you. And honestly, we would have a blast with that. And we'll
be amazing.
Do you want to put it on? Want to like live do it on?
We'll Instagram live this thing. Yeah, we'll live coach it. But here's where we'll end this today. This is a picture of me as a young tot with the Sonoma, which is an S10. That's a real life picture.
The Sonoma is a GMC version of S10, dude.
It's literally
had a premonition about that.
That's what I'm saying. And this is not my first truck. My first truck was a 97 F-150 with 285,000 miles that I totaled 2 months in from falling asleep at the wheel and crashing into a bridge. But then I got the S10 or the Sonoma. And this is me in 98. It was a 1998. There's layers to this picture. It's a 1998 Sonoma. My dad worked and retired and whatever with General Motors and got this thing. And this is me posing before my first game going in the new truck. I remember how special it was because I was riding in the little back seat.
Is that an SS? Does that say SS on it?
No, it's
SLS.
Like an SLS, which
is leather.
Nope, cloth seats.
Okay.
It had zero bells and whistles. It did have cruise control, so maybe. But there is me, and I'll tell you,
dude, you look a lot like your son in that picture. You look like Noah.
Well, don't throw my kids' names out in public, please.
You look like
joking.
Doa.
Doa, nice. Sam, my oldest son, is a spitting image to that. My youngest son is all like, I'm not convinced I was a part of the creation. Like, it's all my wife's side, but. Here's where we'll end. I was driving that to college one year. My best friend was in a big Suburban behind me. We were in stop and go traffic. I stopped. He didn't. He totaled my S10, my Sonoma. He had he had zero damage, and I was totaled on the side of 65 heading up to Chicago. And
somebody rear-ended my wife in a Suburban a couple weeks ago. She called me at 11 o'clock at night. I'm in bed. She was coming back from her friend's house. Totaled the Prius, and I was like, where's the damage on the Suburban? She's like, there's it just hit the hitch. And dude, that thing is a tank. Love it.
Yeah, they're tanks. My buddy was kind of giggling once he found out I was okay. I mean, my rear view mirror fell off the windshield and hit me in the head.
Oh my gosh, so that explains a lot more.
Okay, that was hurtful. But yeah, the S10, there's layers there, and you also brought up band. I had a part in that too until I was told that
people ask me why we do this podcast. And I think
For
I
memes
just
like
do this because I have fun. Like I'm doing this literally because I'm having a
yeah.
good time talking to Brandon and
But who?
Donnie.
So here's what I'll say. You can reach out, Shawn at businessonpurpose.com, Brandon at businessonpurpose.com, or go to businessonpurpose.com and reach out to a contact form. If you have a selfie of a pool noodle, a zigzag rig rag flopper, and a 12 pack of Hawaiian rolls in the checkout line, send it to Brandon or Shawn at mybusinessonpurpose.com. We will post you and you will receive your 1 month of free BOP, which is
Dude, you better run that
value
by
I
the
was
BB.
not cleared. I was
Dude,
not
you
cleared
better
to
run
offer
that by
that, but
the
I'll
boss. The boss gets
nope,
back on
nope,
Monday. He's
nope,
going to be
nope. I'm offering it before he gets back.
touche,
Do it soon. But
All right,
anyways,
Brandon,
this was
do you have an inspirational quote to send us out? I'm about to go to lunch. I'm going to lunch with a private equity guy in town, friend of mine, builds businesses. Give me an inspirational quote that I can take to him today.
okay. Here is actually a very good one, and it relates. It's not the humorous type that you probably were looking for, but I think it actually relates directly to what we were talking about with somebody being like, they're not, that we're dropping balls, whatever. It's from a Navy SEAL. He says, what you allow in your presence is your standard. So if you're allowing people to come to meetings late and you're allowing processes to get dropped and you're allowing these, that what you allow in your presence is your standard. So if you have a higher standard or you claim to have a higher standard, stop allowing it in your presence. There's my,
Dude,
there's my
that's some
quote.
gold, but also like I want to unpack this and understand how do you love people in
Now's
your
not the
business
time.
and
People are
hold
already
them
tired of hearing our
accountable.
voices.
Peace. All right. Deuces.